Hello, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to At America, the U.S. Embassy's American Center. Thank you very much. First of all, my name is Hasna Rohani. I am one of the guests here at America. Live from At America, you are watching Sustainable Urban Transport for the Future. And hello to all audience members here joining us in the studio. We have a good number of students from UPN. Halo teman-teman dari UPN. And also from IPB. Hi. And last but not least, we're also joined by students from President University. Wow. And not to forget our online audience member joining us from our social media platforms. Today we are going to learn more from our wonderful speakers who's already here with us through an insightful discussion regarding sustainable urban transport, especially here in Indonesia as well as in the United States. In Indonesia, transport is the third largest source of energy-related emissions. Therefore, in order to create more livable cities, a transformational change in urban transport is essential. With the aim of developing affordable, economically viable, people-oriented, and environment-friendly transport systems. But before we proceed into our discussion, let us hear an opening remark that will be delivered from the Vice President of the Department of Congressional and Public Affairs at MCC. Everyone, please give a welcome to Aisha House.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Wow. Okay, so this is my first time in Indonesia, so I want to say thank you for your hospitality. It's been wonderful, and yesterday was my first time riding the MRT. How many of you got here? Okay. For those of you who have been in Washington, D.C. or New York City, I tell you, we have a lot to do to catch up to the MRT. It is much more cleaner, it's much nicer, and so thank you for the opportunity to actually ride on a really, really pristine form of public transportation. Excuse me. How many of you all know MCC? The Millennium Challenge Corporation? Okay, all of my friends in the front row who work with me, yes? So I just wanted to say really quickly, the Millennium Challenge Corporation, part of the reason why I'm here this week and what I'm so excited about is yesterday we launched our second compact, our second program with Indonesia. And it's nearly $700 million that we're investing specifically in a cleaner, safer, more accessible, and smarter form of public transportation for the country. And so when it comes to that, it's amazing, and we're very, very excited about it. Indonesia, it's the third largest compact we've ever done. And so give yourselves a round of applause. That's a lot. And one of the things that I think that's really important for you all to know is, as an agency in the US government, we are really, really, we're probably the age of most of you. We're only 20 years old. How many, 20 years? Okay, so we're 20 years old, and in those 20 years, we have invested $17 billion in over 47 countries, and we've helped to lift over 400 million people out of poverty. So I just wanted to thank you all again, because for us, when it comes to investing in specific sectors, when it comes to being able to do the work of ending poverty globally, we could not do it without working with the countries like Indonesia and other countries around the world, because for us, what really makes the difference and what makes things sustainable is to be able to do it with the actual country itself making the decisions on how and where we invest. So for me, I just wanted to thank you again. It's been 75 years of partnership between the US and Indonesia, and I'm looking forward to many more years to come. All right? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ibu Aisha, for the wonderful opening remarks. And now we will be proceeding into our main agenda. With that, I would like to turn it over to our wonderful moderator for today's session, the senior journalist at TVRI. Everyone, please give a big hand for Rahmat Idris.
Thank you.
All right, sorry you have to see me walk across the stage to get my mic. And let's thank Hasna, guys, our MC today. That was delightful. Thank you very much, Adnan, for the introduction. Hi, my name is Rahmat Idris. I'm currently the news anchor and also one of the, as she said, senior journalists at TVRI World. For those of you who might not know already, TVRI World is another branch of the television of the Republic of Indonesia, TVRI. We know it so far in Bahasa and also for Sports Channel, and now we have it in the vein of NHK World or TRT World from Turkey, or in the vein of BBC or Deutsche Welles, where we have our own broadcast channel representing the needs of our nations in English in 24 hours. So just to bring it out into the light there. So welcome, everyone. I'd like to again check out your energy. We have students from the Bogor Agriculture Institute. Let's hear where you are. There you have it. They were very shy, clapping for themselves. And also let's welcome our friends or colleagues from Universitas Veteran, UPN Veteran, Universitas Pembangunan Negeri, Pembangunan Nasional, UPN Veteran Jakarta. Where are you? And out there we have our friends from President University. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for braving different points of crowds in Jakarta today. As we know, we're all very excited. Pope is in Jakarta. Pope Franciscus. Let's give a big round of applause for that, guys. Just like Madam Aisha, this is also Pope's first time here in Jakarta, so we welcome him with a big heart amidst all of the geopolitical tensions, conflicts, wars around the globe. His presence here, for lack of better words, is a breath of fresh air, I gotta say. So we are very excited to have him here. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to a very, I should say, forward-looking conversation today. This is highly important. Sustainable urban transport for the future. As today, we are here seated and gathered to sort of envision the capital Jakarta and other urban cities across the nations making the leap of faith, embracing the so-called sustainable transport, be it private transport, but more importantly, mass transportation. So we have our esteemed speakers, excellent range of experts joining us for the conversation. I am highly honored to invite them up on the stage to join us for this mind-intriguing conversation, if I may say. First of all, let us welcome the Vice President of Compact Operations at the U.S. Millennium Challenge Corporations, who is overseeing all compacts, which are MCC's signature grand investment vehicle to reduce poverty through economic growth. Well, he has over 20 years of experience, ladies and gentlemen, in private and public sectors. He was the MCC's Vice President, General Counsel, and Corporate Secretary from February 2021 through April 2022, providing counsel to the Board of Directors and senior management on legal and policy matters. And before joining the U.S. Bank, he served in several roles at the overseas private investment corporations. I have 5 pages of his introductions, but I'm just going to cut to his name now. He graduated from Ohio State University with a BA in political science and obtained his law degree from George Washington University. My delight, ladies and gentlemen, Vice President of Compact Operations at U.S. Millennium Challenge Corporation, MCC, Cameron Alford. Join us, sir. And next up, completing our panelists today, ladies and gentlemen, he is an accomplished professional with extensive background in transportation and infrastructure development. As the head of the Department of Transport for the Provincial Government of Bali, he is responsible for managing transportation policy and services across the island of Bali, island of the gods, islands of healing for all of us here, the paradise, essentially. He is also ensuring efficient and sustainable transportation solutions for the region. And for the current role, he served as administrator at the Regional Infrastructure Development Agency in the Ministry of Public Works of Indonesia. Impressive educational background includes a doctorate in transportation mobility management from Catholic University of Parahyangan, a Master of Applied Science in Transport Studies from Lincoln University, and an engineering degree from the renowned Institute Technology of Bandung. Hopefully, it inspires all of you together to get master degrees somewhere out there in the globe. Please welcome Mr. Igewe Samsi Gunarta onto the stage. Very happy to have you here, sir. Please take your seat. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, is the co-founder and executive director of the Rujak, yes, you heard correctly, Rujak Center for Urban Studies, or RCUS. We know Rujak is food, right? I asked her about this earlier, but we'll ask her more about that later. It is a think tank, tank based in Jakarta, Indonesia, that collaborates with communities to generate knowledge and practices aimed at creating sustainable and just cities, and that is fair cities, with over a decade of experience in urban planning, housing rights advocacy, urban mobility, and heritage preservation. She has played a pivotal role in shaping policies and initiatives that empower communities and address urban challenges in Indonesia. And she advocates for sustainable mobility, an avid pedestrian and public transportation user. Avid pedestrian, avid motorbike rider. Please welcome co-founder and executive director of Rujak Center for Urban Studies, Elisa Sutanudjaja. Mbak Elisa, do join us, please. Last but definitely not least, ladies and gentlemen, she is a senior vice president of the advisory group at Indonesia Infrastructure Finance, or IIF. She's been with the institutions for over 12 years, with a total of over 25 years of experience in the financial industry, in which almost all of them are for the government or quasi-government institutions. Her expertise includes infrastructure project assessments, public-private partnership guarantee, preparation and transactions, project finance, merger and acquisitions, and capital market transactions. She has such deep experience working with various government bodies and multilateral agencies. She was instrumental in setting up the Indonesia Infrastructure Guarantee Fund with the Ministry of Finance and the World Bank that provide a grant for technical assistance. And her projects includes toll roads, airports, energy, waste management, ports, water, as well as public housing for low-income families. It is my honor to invite onto the stage to join me Senior Vice President of Advisory Group Indonesia Infrastructure Finance, Ibu Yayi Rasjid. Do join us, please. All right, now that we're all seated, all the panelists for this session, it is now my delight to invite the first remarks from the Vice President of Compact Operations, Millennium Challenge Corporation, to sort of open up the path for our discussion today. Mr. Cameron Alford, the mic is yours.
Great, well, thank you very much. And it's great to be here, although I'm a little disappointed that maybe we won't be doing karaoke or working out or some of the other great things that we saw hosted here at America. Well, look, first of all, it's a great honor and privilege to be here amongst my fellow panelists and talk about this very important topic today. As my dear friend and colleague Aisha noted before, we are thrilled to be here to have launched the Indonesia Infrastructure and Finance Compact. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, is because, as she noted, and I think as all the panelists will agree, sustainable transport for the future is just critical. And it's not just an issue here in Indonesia, but it's an issue around the world, and something that's very worthwhile to take the time to talk about and better understand. So in Indonesia specifically, I think the government recognized that there are challenges around planning, development, funding, and implementation of infrastructure projects, particularly for transport and logistics. And because of those challenges, and especially in some of the provinces outside of Java, that they turned to MCC to help work constructively on a program that would address some of those. And so a key component of the compact is to focus on exactly this issue, to improve the quality and quantity of infrastructure, sustainable infrastructure, in the country. So let's give an example. Intermodal transport, right, for urban and regional transport networks is underdeveloped, meaning, right, so the MRT here in Jakarta, right, connecting to an extensive bus system or transferring to a bike to get all the way from point to point. If you don't have that system, right, completely developed, you essentially have two choices. You can get in a car and you can contribute to congestion, emissions, deteriorating air quality, accidents, or you don't take the trip at all. And you miss out on whatever that opportunity was for doing that trip. So whether that's an opportunity for a potential job, right? You're missing out on that. And so some of the projects that we have under consideration include things like getting more EV buses here on the roads in Jakarta, working with Trans Jakarta to try and do that, to expand the buses that they have within the network. Pak Samsi will speak about some of the projects that we're looking at potentially in Bali, including also EV buses and building out the EV infrastructure network. And I very much look forward to hearing from him. So let me stop there and look forward to the conversation.
All right, there's a lot to unpack there from the little over 4 minutes presentation then, Mr. Cameron. Thank you very much for that. Let's move on to our next panelist, ladies and gentlemen, to sort of give us the foundation for the discussion later on. The head of the Department of Transport, Provincial Government of Bali, Pak Samsi Gunarta. The 5 minutes is yours, sir, please.
Thank you, Pak Rahmat. Yes, you said that you come to Bali for healing, but now Bali needs to be healed. Yeah.
Over tourism much, they ask.
There are so many people come, then we have problem with the transportation. During the COVID, there's no problem because everybody will not come. Then we just sit at home and nobody going to the street. But now we have a problem. Then we have maybe from the airport to one place it takes more than 1 hour. So you go outside of Denpasar, it will take about 2 hours. So it is difficult for us actually to keep our island in good shape. Therefore, it is quite important for us to set a new way of mobility, because before we know Bali's mobility actually based on more to a private type of mobility, including the use of a rental motorcycle, rental car. Then you come with taxis and also the something like go-car, Gojeks, and everything. So it's more likely to be a personalized type of mobility. Now we are looking at a new approach for Bali, especially introducing a specific lane for the bus, a dedicated lane. We have the bus before, but it is coming with the traffic and coming with the congestion. So nobody take the bus because it is congested anyway. So now we are looking at the new way. Let's make a priority lane for the bus. As long at least we have something moving apart from the others are actually so congested. So we do expect a new approach. Then also we also have to think about how to change to replace our taxis to be more environmentally friendly. So we are looking at the converting the taxis to be EV vehicle. Then for that, actually, we need a strong networks of charging stations. Therefore, we are proposing to how to put significant numbers of charging stations, including charging for the motorcycles and four-wheelers and also maybe buses. So it is important for us to do this because we have the situation of pain. Then if we don't take this pain, more pain, then we are not going to be healed. Thank you.
Right. So in order to reduce the pain, you have to go through a more severe pain, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's a lot of pain today. I'm going to ask more about that to you later on. Next up, let's hear from our next panelist before we converse. She is the co-founder and executive director of Rujak Center for Urban Studies. Right next to me, Mbak Elisa Sutanudjaja, please.
Can I borrow the clicker? Yeah, sorry, because I'm a very visual person. I feel confident if I can show you some slides here. So basically, when you discuss about transportation, it's never really a sectoral issues. So it's always transcend with time and space and also function. At the same time, it's all when you discuss transportation, you cannot forget about zoning. You cannot forget about housing, mixed use, density. So that's why maybe like Mayor of Paris call it 15-minute city, because it's, the transportation system is never single alone. So it always attached with the function of the city. So let me take you to Jakarta, where we are now. So one thing that interests Jakarta is consists of kampung kota, which is informal settlement, but at the same time you have these formal buildings and everything at the behind of kampung kota. So what we are thinking about this when you're discussing about urban mobility or sustainable transportation is how to embed this kampung kota, this residential or that already exists into the system that provided by government, and how to combine it together so they can strengthen both. So that's my role as a planner, even though I'm not educated as in urban planning, but through community design and everything. So that's why we try to incorporate this informal settlement, this kampung kota into like already a system that already exists in Jakarta. So the green one actually were the kampung kota, the informal settlements, while all the dots and the yellow, the red, and everything is our public transportation system. And 80% of Jakarta is already connected to public transportation system, so it's good, right? So basically within the 500 meters from the bus stop, there will be like any kind of mode. Either it's Jaklingko system under bus and BRT or the train station, etc. But there always be a first mile and last mile problem. So that's what we are taking care of from the planner side, which is how we can densify the settlement, how we can have more housing, affordable housing, where in the location of the transportation network. So and this is actually like typical, the left one is actually typical kampung in Jakarta. So, but actually it's also similar to Tokyo and Mumbai. And we know that Tokyo is like the transportation heaven, public transportation heaven, right? So that's what you got connection, because it's very easy to walk inside kampung kota, to go to nearby station, etc. So it's similar like the one in Tokyo. So actually, I'm going to pass this one. So this is more like a dense, but we have problem in Jakarta because we are not dense enough in terms of floor density. We don't have enough floor. If you meaning floor, if you compare it with Hong Kong have so many apartment, and so they have like, I think like 16 times than total floor in Jakarta. Means that of course they are higher density than us. So that also makes transportation, if you have lower density, that also makes transportation costs expensive, right? And of course, the investment could not go in because you don't have enough passenger and etc. So what we are doing now, currently, try to, since 10 years ago, we advocate to the Jakarta Provincial government to densify, to increase the floor area ratio. So at the end of the day, in 2022, they revised the zoning. So that's, then finally we have a zoning called flat, housing flat. So that's why we try to, how we try to solve the last mile problem to increase the housing near the TOD. So this is a TOD. Perhaps you taking MRT yesterday. This is one of the biggest transit-oriented development point in Jakarta, the Duku Atas. You have MRT, you have LRT, you have airport transportation, and also you have BRT. In here, we try to develop housing flat. Before, you cannot develop housing flat because of the zoning. But one of our policy, advocacy, managed to go through provincial government and they changed the zoning. So, but the government actually want these super blocks. But if you have super blocks, means that you're going to demolish a lot of housing. So this is one thing that we try to develop in order to solve the last mile, first mile problem. So hopefully it will be finalized in this month, actually, for the first housing plant in Jakarta.
Okay. Very intriguing presentation. And I guess the biggest question from all of those choices, how many are sustainable? Later, we'll talk about that. All right. So the way we're going to do this, guys, is that I'm going to be talking to our panelists for a bit of time. And then later on, we will give you, all of you, the opportunity to ask your burning questions. I see a lot of faces with curiosity out there. So bear with us for a bit before we hand over the mic to you, okay? Right, we have enough time for that. First, I'd like to go to Cameron first, because you represent one of the most significant stakeholders for conversations at the MCC. So how, or rather why, was one of the most important compacts chosen by MCC today was on the sustainable transport system, Cameron? Enlighten us on that.
Great, thank you for the question. Look, let me start with something you all know, which is Indonesia is an archipelago of over 17,000 islands. Making the connections, right, for all those people, to move people and goods, to connect markets, to connect opportunities, is an inherent challenge. I think the government recognized that. And that is why, right, we have focused in on the infrastructure piece. And as critical as the infrastructure pieces that we're looking to finance through the program are, I think one key aspect is what we're trying to do is to create a blueprint, right? So that the projects that we fund are replicable, that there can be lessons learned, and that with increased knowledge and capacity about some of the planning development things that I spoke about earlier, at the provincial and municipal level, plus some of the innovation and financing, bringing that together, right, we can do more. And we can begin to address the over $1.5 trillion infrastructure gap here in Indonesia. If we can do that, if we can get that blueprint and make it replicable, we'll have changed the game. And that's what I'm excited about.
Right, it's great to hear that, because looking at just in the regional perspective, I mean, Malaysia have had their monorail on LRT ages ago, and Bangkok is known for their sky train and everything. We've had our MRT. Our LRT is currently underway in some parts. We're very part of those systems. But again, bringing up the questions of what are some sort of lesson learned, success stories, at least regional-wise, that Indonesia can adopt and making significant strides towards that objective. Cameron.
Yeah, no, thank you. Infrastructure and transport infrastructure it's just part of who we are at MCC, right? That we've been doing in our 20 years. This is, by the way, I don't remember if Aisha mentioned, this is our 20th anniversary, our 20th birthday.
Happy
MCC.
birthday, happy 20,
yes, thank you.
20 years young to MCC.
Yes, and I think, there we go,
Picks
there's
up
a
on the
few, I
applause.
appreciate that, yes.
Thank you. Continue, please.
Yes, and as a part of that, right, infrastructure has been key in our programs. So we have, off the top of my head, right, we've done ports and roads in places that are also archipelagos, like the Philippines or Cabo Verde. We have also done roads and infrastructure, ports and roads infrastructure in places like Benin, and lessons learned. We're doing now, there's a threshold program in Kenya where we're looking specifically at this problem about urban transport in and around Nairobi. And I think, the cumulative effect of all of those programs is that we bring those lessons learned and experience, right, to a program like Indonesia that then can also help, right, develop lessons learned as we look to input solutions here in Indonesia and then take those in around the world.
All right. All right, exciting to hear that. I'd like to go to Pak Samsi over. Would like to get more insights from you in regards to what Bali is currently. All right, so oh, apologies. We do have one more presentation, ladies and gentlemen. We have three, and I'm missing one. Apologies, please. Ibu Yayi is right there with her presentations and the scripts. Please accept my apologies, Ibu Yayi. I'd like to hand over the microphone to you and give you the opportunity to sort of enlighten us on what the institutions of finance has currently put in plans for the projects in the future. Yayi Rasjid, Senior Vice President of Advisory Group Indonesia Infrastructure Finance. Ibu Yayi, please.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Pak Rahmat. That's fine. First of all, I'm sorry, adik-adik semua, Bapak Ibu. I'm sorry for my voice, my lack of voice. I lost it since 3 days ago. So this is as good as it gets. So please bear with me. Okay. For relating to MCC, IF is involved in MCC project called GPIP, whereby I'm involved in the stakeholder engagement part of the whole project. So what I want to start with is to let you guys all know, so we have the same understanding of what stakeholders are. By definition, stakeholder is individuals or a group of individuals or organizations that either one have interest or influence in the performance or outcome of the project, or those people who are positively or negatively, be it directly or indirectly affected by the project. Now, what is stakeholder engagement? Stakeholder engagement is a very crucial part of the project. It all starts with identification of all stakeholders involved in a certain project, and then moving along to mapping those identified stakeholders into classifications of or groupings, as you want to call it, to determine whether this person is classified as or categorized as responsible parties or accountable parties or consulted parties or just parties to be informed with. So on the hindsight, a sound project will have a good stakeholder engagement plan, which will serve as a guideline, as a guide for the project proponent to manage the stakeholders for the life cycle of the project, throughout the life cycle of the project. Just in the case of IIF, where we have what we call the IIF 8 social and environmental principle, MC that we applies to all our investments for the loans that we give out. MCC and MCAI also place a high importance on ensuring that all projects undertaken by the public sector, that they don't cause damage to the environment, and also that the project is sensitive and inclusive of all the needs of women, interests of women, children, and also the group elderly, and also various different groups, including the minorities. So yeah, oftentimes a transportation project is regarded as a hindrance to people's life, especially during the construction stage. This is one of the reasons why stakeholder engagement is important, because the beneficiaries of a sustainable urban transport project need to understand and need to acknowledge that the project will bring them benefits upon its implementation. Such benefit will be, like in the case of Samsi's MCC project in Bali, will be something like less travel time and of course less pollution. Nonetheless, every project undertaken by the public sector needs to be economically viable. The parameter often used is what is called economic rate of return, or ERR, where ERR is a measurement of the project's cost, I should say benefit first, is a measurement of the project's benefits compared to its cost, relative to its cost. as for MCC and MCAI, for every project they undertake or they invest in or they help out, the project needs to pass a threshold ERR of at least 10%. So to sum everything up, stakeholder engagement process guided by a robust stakeholder engagement plan is very crucial to the success of a project. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for that. Let's give her a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I have also a lot of questions pertaining to that, Yayi. But first, let me go over to Pak Samsi first. In Bali, Pak, your current visions, as we also envision together with you moving forward in Bali, what are some of the gravest challenges that we are facing right now in terms of manifesting the idea of having sustainable transport in the dense, congested streets of Bali, particularly in the southern part, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, I think the most important, the biggest challenge we have is actually change the mindset of people. Actually, before we think that the bus will have made the congestion.
Right.
So
when you mention the people, is it the Bali people or the tourist people?
when we see,
Because there's a lot of people in Bali, we just have to make that clear.
You
So
know-
when you're in Kuta, sometimes we see more tourists than the Balinese people.
so yeah, Balinese and tourists are the same. The difference is actually Balinese have their own vehicles and tourists don't have their own vehicles. So both need mobility. Balinese is one of the actually they're enjoying a lot about using their own motorcycle, their own cars. So it is now it's a bit difficult for them actually to shift to the new way of mobility. Then it is quite important actually to do the engagements. It is quite difficult to actually tell them, okay, we don't have any other options. This is the only option we have. So please shift to the new way of mobility. The problem is actually we need to provide a significant difference in how they think the new method will be benefited them. So it is quite important actually to keep the bus is much faster compared than they use their own vehicles.
So walk us through very quickly, Pak Samsi, like in the 5 or 10 years from now in Bali, do we see more EVs down the street? Do we see more mass rapid transits being implemented around or across Bali? What can we expect in this span of time?
Yeah, actually in the past we have quite good public transport system using a BEMO. You remember the ones moving very fast, come within 2 minutes and then you can go anywhere. But they return back to their route after they take you to your home and then just they return. So they circulate all the time. But then we ruin them because we have a cheap motorcycle, easy to buy motorcycles, easy to buy cars and everything. So the economy is getting better. But then in starting in 2012, actually we introduced the Trans Sarbagita, a bus.
Yeah.
Then we are not quite satisfied with that. Then 2020, they're coming the Trans Metro Dewata bus. Also, we still have problem with the load factors. So what we need to do, actually, we need to have a better bus, which is actually can take them to a certain place with a reliable way. So
Right.
it's quite important to provide a reliable system that they can take while there is some congestion happens.
Right, and we also need something to cut through the congestion, right? Yeah. Either it's, I don't know, additional infrastructures or maybe mass rapid transits. But I'd like to go over to Yayi now. Yayi, when we talk about stakeholder engagement, we talk about money coming in, people investing in projects. During your experience conversing with all different stakeholders, highlighting sustainable projects, what are some of the most crucial concerns that they have in terms of investing in sustainable urban transport system?
Okay. You're asking from the investor side because we're more from the project proponent side.
Please do.
I think that's more fitting. Speaking specifically for Pak Samsi's MCC Bali project, The experience in communication with stakeholders so far has been smooth. This is mainly due to Pak Samsi's strong leadership and knowledge on the project, which is installation of charging stations for electric vehicles. Um, we have we have started to establish a communication with various stakeholders, including the provincial and also the city government, and also various communities, including community of people with disabilities. We plan to we plan to manage communications with more communities once the fixed locations are identified, so which will give us more certain profiles of the stakeholders. So in general, although you asked me earlier about the experience, right, with stakeholders. In general, although the stakeholders realize the long-term benefit and the importance of a certain sustainable urban transport project, it's true that sometimes they focus more on how the process might disrupt their lives and livelihoods. That is that's what makes in stakeholder engagement important, because the beneficiaries of such project need to understand that they will reap the benefits upon the implementation of the project. Such benefit, like again, using Pak Samsi's project as an example, such project will be something like less sick days due to less pollution. Yeah,
Right. Cleaner air.
Cleaner air.
That's the result
right,
of it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how we do some of the things that we put in when we do cost benefit analysis.
Right.
So, and also in general, we to address those concerns, a few things are crucial, like transparent communication, an inclusive planning process. Those are very important, and also having risk mitigation strategies. But actually, those are the components of a stakeholder engagement plan that I mentioned earlier. So a particular stakeholder engagement plan will have in it information on the project, and also the social environmental risk impacts.
Yeah.
But as well, also it will have the risk mitigation, proposed risk mitigation measures. And last but not least, the stakeholder engagement plan will have what is called a grievance mechanism, which is a very important part of implementing a project. And that, as I said earlier, the stakeholder engagement plan, which will be on the hands of the project proponent and will guide them throughout the life cycle of the project to ensure commitment and also the support of all stakeholders involved.
Right. So you spoke to the project proponents, as you said. Does that
Yeah.
mean the people who will be directly impacted by the ongoing project?
Those
Yayi,
will be
or-
more the impacted people will be more the stakeholders of the project. The
Right.
project proponents, like the project sponsor, like the project
I
owner.
see.
In this in the Bali case is the provincial government, yeah, Pak, through Pak
The
Samsi.
provincial government of
Yes.
Bali for that case.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go over to Jakarta, because you're an expert at that. Elisa, share with us some of the story that we learned from Jakarta, something that we can change, that can also be adopted in other urban cities, particularly Bali, for example, where the ongoing project is going to take place. Share with us your thoughts on that.
So I think it's very important to incorporate any kind of transportation planning with, again, land use planning. So that's also important. One thing that you need to learning from Jakarta mistake is we forget to do the pull policy. Sorry, I mean the push policy. You already have the pull policy, which is providing BRT, providing bus in this case. But sometimes most Indonesian cities, even though you're already providing bus, like for example Semarang with their Trans Semarang, which is also great, but they also forget this push policy. What do you mean by push policy? It means that policy that reduce the usage of private vehicle. For example, like reducing parking spot or increasing parking fee, like also and also for national government perhaps lowering subsidy. So that's mean that to make your private vehicle looks more unappealing, looks more expensive, then you take the public
transport.
anyway. And then again, usually city government tend to forget about the last mile and first mile problem thing. Sometimes it's about walking. Do you have enough walking facilities to go to the bus stop or to go to the train stop, or do you have enough shade? If you are in the, we are in the tropical country, so don't forget about the rain and dry and also hot climate. So you have to make sure that we are walker happy with that, protected. So that's something that need to be addressed by city government and provincial government. Other thing, because we are consist of what we call desa kota, like city and region. So you have a lot of small cities around big cities. Then don't forget about the regional connectivity. That's also important, and usually that's under the provincial government. How you connect with the rural area, how you connect with suburban, that's also something that Jakarta always forget. For example, the MRT only stop at Lebak Bulus, but what happened with people from Tangerang? So Tangerang, they only like 5 minutes away, but there is no public transportation go to the MRT from the South Tangerang part, for example. That's really silly, right? So they still need to take motorcycle, whatever it is, to go to the park and ride in that facility in that area. And the park and ride actually is a little bit dark, and it's not the walking experience from the park and ride facilities to the MRT stop is not nice. So at the end of the day, even though we have quite okay user for MRT, actually they can do better if they incorporate all of those things. I hope Bali will learn from our mistake and thrive, because you can learn a lot from Jakarta mistake and not doing the same thing again in Bali.
Right. Samsi was looking at with apprehensive look there. Does these things are put into account when considering all of these projects ongoing at Bali, Pa? Very quickly.
Yeah. But anyway, it is difficult to follow Jakarta actually.
A lot of complexities
They
there,
have
that's right.
so
That's why
many
we are moving to
mistakes.
IKN, sir.
That's why we use MCC because we made so many mistakes. Jakarta made so many mistakes. We don't want to follow. So
It's a fresh start for Bali. Right, Cameron, walk us through some of the biggest expectations and hopes that MCC will put through these projects in Bali, through the ideas of implementing sustainable urban transport. Maybe Bali will be the president of it all for other urban cities in Indonesia.
Yeah, we are focused on projects in 5 provinces throughout the country. So we have North Sulawesi, South Sumatra, Riau Islands, and Bali, of course.
Right. How are these, sorry if I cut you there, how are these 5 regions selected or made into the short list of regions to be developed by MCCs?
Yeah,
before
sure.
you continue on.
Yes, no. The short answer is that they were selected by the government of Indonesia.
Oh, I see.
And that is right for a couple of reasons. First of all, right, it was consideration of some of the implementability of what we're trying to do, including operating within our 5-year timeline for the compact, which is a strict deadline that we must adhere to. So very much look forward to projects in the regions, including in Bali, being done within the 5-year time.
Samsi was looking with such an optimistic face there. 5 years you give me, guys. Thank you so much. Continue on, please.
But I think part of what that will do, by having a number of different regions, by being on a strict timeline, will help provide the blueprint that I spoke about earlier, right? That the projects will be replicable in other provinces, at a municipal level, in other places, that they'll be able to attract the necessary financing to do. And that really is my highest hope, I think was the word you said, for the program, is being able to develop these projects and put them in place successfully throughout the country going forward. That will really be the legacy of the compact.
And also with the beautiful moment of 75 years of diplomatic relations, this is a perfect time. You know, we're like 3/4 into a century of relations with United States. But Samsi, you have something to say about this, your response.
Yeah, actually, I just remember 5 years is not easy, no?
It's gonna fly by, sir. Trust me. That's good.
But
We'll have a
anyway.
new president by then, and he's gonna ask, "What's new in Bali in terms of sustainable transport?"
No, I just want to say that MCC actually gave me something from we are not confident, now we are coming to, okay, let's do it. We have the confidence to do it because the process actually is quite good to lead us to have the confidence to do the things. Otherwise, we still stay at the same stage. Yeah.
But share with us your optimism, sir. Are we looking at a bright light at the end of the tunnel, the congestions in Bali and whatnot, what you have it at the moment? Are we looking at that particular, are we making strides towards that light?
Yeah, we know there is a light, but we haven't
okay.
seen it yet.
Oh, okay. So you can't share with us just yet. but yeah, I'd like to go over to you, Ma, because you work closely with the IIF and everything's pertaining to the project. Walk us through the optimism as well, how much we can hope from the stakeholder engagement will sort of set a smooth sailing ordeal to what we're currently trying to build up in Bali.
Oh, very high hopes, very optimistic that every single one of the 5 projects will go through smoothly and will be able to set as a precedent for the following projects by the governments, the subnational government level.
Right.
In terms of stakeholder engagement process, I'm not saying it's not without hiccups, but with the good intention and the right approach, yeah, hopefully we can sort these things out one by one.
Right. Right. Thank you very much for that. We are pressed for times for our conversation here. Just lastly, just a few words from you, Elisa. What are some of the biggest do's and don'ts in terms of starting a new project pertaining to the sustainable urban transport for the future, especially in Bali and in other places in Indonesia that we're aiming to do as well?
The do things actually, remember who's your biggest user, which is your citizen. So
Right.
always prioritize your citizen.
Right. Consult them in a way. Yeah. Okay.
Don't so many. So I don't want to start with don'ts. Just let's start with do.
So no don'ts there. Just experiment away. All right, let's open up the floor with questions from our curious audience here. Raise your hands, guys. Introduce yourself, your name, and where you're from. The first one over there, that guy in the... you. With the vast Rujak, thank you for helping out the words. Wait up, we'll take one first, and then we'll go over to you guys. Please, your name and where you're from.
Okay, thank you for this big opportunity for me, guys. My name is Raka. I'm from the Agricultural University from Bogor. You may know it as IPB University. I have a question. I think it's all about the sustainable urban transport for the future. I think my opinion is personally to support sustainable urban transportation for the future. Is it possible to implement the rules of net zero emission area? For example, in the central of traffic, such as Sudirman and Senayan, only vehicles with the minimum standard of Euro 6 are able to pass, and then, or at least it is a electric vehicle. So it both encourage us to take the public transport, and we cannot use our regular vehicles because it's only for hybrid and electric vehicles. Or is it possible to implement that policy and support it with the carbon trading policy so the emission could be reduced and the reduction of the emission could be commercialized? Thank you.
Very interesting. Net zero spots there. Who are you aiming the question to, by the way? To Elisa, to whichever. Yeah, I think she's an urban transport. Elisa, please, over to you.
Actually, we already have the lower, we call it low emission zone, for the one in London sometimes called ultra low emission zone already, that's in Kota Tua. But unfortunately, again, because you can learn again from Jakarta mistake, they disregard about citizen activities, about the zoning and etc. So yeah, you at the end of, you have you have the area closed for traffic for private vehicle. Only Transjakarta bus and also of course train can go inside. Then the rest is walking and cycling, which is you don't know, and the only cars that can go inside is the electric car EV. So that already happened during Corona time in Kota Tua. But then they forgot that they have Glodok, the Chinatown, they have the port and everything. Then at the end of the day, the traffic congestion getting worse because again, they forget about that. So it's possible, but then when you plan it, again, stakeholder engagement is important. You understand the context is important. What is the zoning? What is the activities? Then who's going to be passing through that, providing the last mile and first mile, also important. Then that's possible, not only in Jakarta but also other cities. And again, yeah, that's true. Sudirman Tamrin actually a perfect corridor for that because you already have so many public transportation goes through. There is no excuse for cars or motorcycle. But then don't forget that you still have the logistic. What's going to happen with logistic if we want to go to that? So that's something, a lot of things to think about as well before we try to implement the low emission zone or ultra low emission zone.
Right, right. So now we are looking at the odds and evens car numbers. Maybe in future, if not an EV, you can pass this street on certain day in Jakarta. That's going to be challenging. So that's why I see a lot of people sometimes in Kota Tua. The air is fresher there. Right. Let's go to our friends from President University. Yes, please. Oh, give him a big hand, guys. Thank you. Your name, please.
Thank you for opportunities. My name is Jason Filtomori Depari. I'm from President University, the major international relations. So I want to ask you some question is, what is your view if you apply new energy saving technology in Indonesia, but develop equal distribution of public transportation, for example, LRT, MRT, especially in other big cities, for example, Medan, the third largest city in Indonesia.
Right. What was the question again at the beginning, if you may repeat it? You didn't get it very clearly.
What is your view if you apply a new energy-saving technology in Indonesia, but develop equal distribution of public transportation, for example, LRT, MRT, especially in other big cities, for example, in Medan, the third largest cities in Indonesia.
Yeah, Medan, Surabaya has similar experience there. Pak Samsi can have an opinion and share with us your thoughts, sir.
Yeah, I think renewable energy is one option, but when we see the potential of renewable energy, it will be difficult to run for the public transport. No? Operating public transport will need a significant amount of energy that we might not be able to get it from only the renewable energy. So we need to find the best way, actually, how to get more power. But yeah, talking about LRT, MRT, it takes more money. So we need to find we need to fill the closest gap. So take the lowest hanging fruit that we can make now. For the future, it might be good. We are looking at a bigger. But Bali actually has a plan for that because we are looking at the subway. So subway development and then how to use to make a corridor underground.
Are we moving forward with the Bali Metro plan, Pak Samsi?
Yes, we do have, yeah.
What's the phase right now? What's the current phase?
Yeah, now coming from the phase 1, actually, our biggest problem is actually the airport now. So we are looking at how to evacuate passengers from the airport first.
While the project is ongoing,
Yep.
they have to be diverted somewhere else. I see. Right. Cameron, anything you'd like to add to answer these questions?
I think one thing I'll add, and it ties into even the previous question.
The previous question
is the government of Indonesia in the program, right, has its own commitments and goals for sustainability. And so one of the key pieces of our compact is to prioritize net zero infrastructure projects, keeping that in mind, right? And it's not necessarily the solution, right, that our first questioner posed and some of that, but this is why talking about some of the EV vehicles, the EV infrastructure, building that out, right? Not just doing the infrastructure of old, right? Not just building more roads or, right, widening roads to put more cars on the road, right? But being smarter about these choices that makes the infrastructure sustainable.
Very well said there. I was in Dubai for the whole 2 week for the COP28 just last year, and the conversation was, for lack of a better word, was heated. It was, it was behind closed doors, coming up with all these terms and ways to go around making agreements not to reach the thresholds of 1.5 degrees. And trust me, we talked to some of our colleagues from Indonesia. It was not an easy conversation there. And coming up. In just a couple of months also in Baku, that's going to be something else that the whole wide world is going to be expecting. Doing a live report every single day on that, sorry, I blew my mind. So. All right, anyone else in the audience? We see some, all right, we'll take this side first, guys. In the back right there, guys with spectacles like I do, please. Bespectacled student there in the back. Your name and where you're from, please.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Rafil Mutomo. I'm from School of Business IPB University. So talking about sustainable urban transport for the future, we also talking about the electric vehicles, right? Is there any opportunity or possibility to build a special road that can charge the electric vehicles by passing that road, so the vehicle will charge continuously by passing that? Because I think it can break the border range of electric vehicle, that which has become one of the problem and consideration for customer when buying electric vehicles. Thank you.
Wow, leap of technology. Very forward-looking question there. Who's most equipped to answer this? But Samsi, maybe?
Yeah, the technology is actually growing. So the thing is, the battery life is much better now than the distance provided by the battery is much better. So we need the numbers. We have a numbers of options we can take, but maybe charging actually also still a very difficult challenge we face, because the distance anxiety, as he said. Then we need to have a smart thinking of this, because where are we going to put our charging? Because anyway, you want to go to the cafe, and then maybe you just can plug in your electric vehicle in the cafe. Then while you have discussion and do the things, 30 minutes done. Right. So there are things that is going on. Then we believe that this will be tackled in the very near future.
And also having a universal port at that, Samsi, because from what I hear from my friends who've been using EVs, they can only charge their car at specific ports because it's only provided for specific brands of EVs. It's not yet to be universal. This is one of the biggest homework, because you want to drive, you got to know where you can charge it in, where you park. So otherwise, don't go there or stay at home, like someone said that in the audience before. You can add on that, Elisa, please.
Yeah, actually, technology is not my forte, but again, I agree with Pak Samsi. The technology will progress, but I just want to remind the audience as well. You know, we have this triangle of mobility, and let's not forget about the public transportation. The EV, yes, is also important to progress, but before we jump into the EV, just make sure that you maximize the mass transportation first, then the EV. But because at the end of the day, even though you call it net zero for the EV and everything, the way you construct it still need a lot of resource for that. Right. Yeah.
Yayi, anything you'd like to add to this from your perspective, please?
No, just an interesting point. Following up to Pak Samsi, yeah, I think investment in the technology of the battery is very much needed. Because I was in a conversation with my team members, I was like, hey, we work at IIF, so we first and foremost, we have to maintain the sustainability of the environment and everything, right? It's in our DNA, IF's DNA. So why don't you buy? Why do you? Because he uses motorcycles. Why don't you buy electric motorcycle? Of course you can afford it, right? And he was like, but do you know where I live? From one charging, it will not take me to the office. What am I gonna do? I'm like,
She's just being realistic there.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh really? Oh, that is a real issue there, right? I thought like, okay, you can afford it, just buy it and just use the electric motorcycle. It's not that simple. Just like continuing to, what Bu Elisa was mentioning earlier, right? There's no continuation
Right.
for the whole ecosystem of transportation.
And just from my experience as a pedestrian, sometimes these EVs, they are practically soundless. They sneak up on you without you knowing it. Suddenly you have a racing EVs. Doesn't make any sound. So it's just for us pedestrians. That's another challenge, right, by Elisa? We have time for one more question, guys. I'd like to go to the other side. Someone would like to have a girl now asking a question. I'm sorry, man. Also, bespectacled girl in the back, please. Introduce yourself, your name and university, please.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Isyana. I am a lecturer of international relations from President University, and these are actually my students. And
Okay. Good. Thanks for coming, guys.
thank you. I actually have a question. I was reminded, of something when Ibu Elisa said that, the government should prioritize the citizens. I was reminded of the feeder buses. Again, I don't know if we still have feeder buses in Jakarta, but I was actually reminded also of the traffic situation around Cikarang station in West Java. Because I commute every day from Jakarta to Cikarang every day, and so the traffic situation there is really, really bad. Like there are becaks, what else? Of course, the online motorbike taxis, cars, personal and online taxis, very, very chaotic. And so I thought it would be better if we had if they had feeder buses, that cater to the Cikarang station in Bekasi or Cikarang. But then again, my question is, what has been, how do you advise in this case, the government of West Java, if it is possible, to add feeder buses, because if we had feeder buses, that would possibly reduce the number of vehicles around the Cikarang station and maybe around other stations in other parts of Indonesia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the question, Isyana. On behalf of our government, but maybe you've spoken to your counterparts from West Java province. Share with us your experience on this.
West Java is having a biggest problem than us.
A challenge of its own. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Elisa knows where about how actually we tackle the problem in West Java and Jakarta. I used to live in Bandung in West Java, so I know well about the certain. It is difficult, but anyway, they are progressing because now they start to use more. They have the opportunity to have the train, and then what they need is actually just to manage where the parking area is, because once you have a good parking area, then you need to have a good pedestrian. Then the biggest problem is actually the encroachment of pedestrian from the trade vendors. That's also having a problem in West Java area. They are not able to tackle well that situation yet.
Right. You'd like to add to this, Elisa, very quickly?
Yeah, maybe I can share experience during Sutioso time. That's the governor of Jakarta when he start the BRT. So he's not like suddenly, I want to install BRT. No, it's not like that. Because there's an advocacy group who's relentlessly push the governor at that time, even finance him to go to site visit to Bogota to see how it's going to work and suitable for that. Of course, I'm not asking you to take your mayor to there, but I agree that it's good to push the provincial government, because provincial government is the one who get the vehicle tax, right, Pak? The vehicle tax goes to the provincial government. So it's important for the citizen to demand that vehicle tax to finance the some of that to to the public transportation system. It could be feeders and everything.
Wow.
Another thing, private sector sometimes they see there's an opportunity from there because Cikarang you have a lot of developers, right? They could finance it if they see the demand. So I think that's the strategic part of university. You can provide advocacy, you can provide data, you can provide some recommendation, policy recommendation to either private and government at the same time. Yeah.
Very well said there. And just very quickly from our final two panelists, but Yayi, would you conclude our conversation, please, just very quickly before I give the mic over to Cameron?
Again, from my capacity here, I just to remind everyone here that we are all stakeholders of projects, be it infrastructure projects.
Yeah.
That is our main concern here. So we are important players in the establishment and development of government projects. So be active and voice yourself out, and hopefully the government will be able to address and take them as inputs for the sustainability of the projects.
Right. We may not reap the benefits right away, right now, but our children and children's children will definitely do. Lastly, from you, concluding our conversation today, Cameron, please.
Yeah, thanks very much. And I'd encourage all of you and folks online to continue to stay engaged, as Ibu was saying, because in the not too distant future, right, you all will be the leaders driving these decisions, right? You'll be the ones who are struggling with these choices and what to do, right? You're the ones that are going to innovate new solutions, new technologies, how to figure out how to pay for it, how to make these connections. So please stay engaged, give your ideas, and very much look forward to you being a part of this process and being part of the sustainable future as we look forward.
Thank you very much, Cameron, for putting it all together for us today. And also, I'd like to express my gratitude as well to Pak Samsi, Bu Yayi, Elisa, for sharing with us your thoughts and your insights. And thank you to you, our friends from IPB, from PN Veteran Jakarta, from Fresno University. Another round of applause for us and for 75 years of Indonesia and the United States relations. Looking forward for more in the future. And with that, I hand over the mic to you, Hasna, our delightful MC. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mas Rahmat, for handing it over to me again. Can we give another round of applause for our wonderful panelists today, Pak Samsi, Pak Cameron, Bu Elisa, dan Bu Yayi, as well as for our wonderful moderator for navigating this intriguing discussion today. We're definitely looking forward to have more this kind of discussion in the future, as well as future collaboration in regards to the transport strategies and standardized policies. If you find yourself enjoying this event, you can stay tuned to our website at www.atmerica.org.id. And if you have any event ideas and you would like to be featured here at America, you can submit your proposals and we will make it for you. Stay tuned to our social media platforms. We are on Instagram, Facebook, X at AT America, and also you can always rewatch our previous programs at AT America on our YouTube channel. With that, thank you so much again for joining us today. Give another round of applause for everyone today. Thank you so much. It's time to say goodbye. My name is Hasna. See you on the next At America event. Bye-bye, everybody. We're
got to let me know. Should I stay or should I go?